Yo, what's up guys? This is BrendanMushi, and today we're going to be talking about the Guilty Gear Strive CBT, the closed beta test that just happened this past weekend. I had a lot of fun playing it, but the game is obviously not without its mistakes, as I'm sure you could tell. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, is what we did like, didn't like, and what Arxis is probably going to be doing going forward. If you've really been anywhere on social media, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, whatever, or if you even just played the beta yourself, you probably have the same opinions. I should have a video up pretty soon where I went through the survey with some people on Twitch, and I kind of go into more detail about all the problems and what I do like with the game there. It's about an hour-long video, so if you want like my full take on everything, I suggest you check that out. Otherwise, just to run through real quick, what you already know, damage is way too high. The UI still looks horrible, cluttered, and not really reminiscent of Guilty Gear. The burst, risk, character portrait shouldn't move with the health bar. Honestly, it wasn't as bad when I actually played, but still, I don't like it. The combo counter, negative, positive states, all of that stuff are way too large. Again, it's not really that bad when you're actually playing the game, but still, it shouldn't be that way. The camera shifting can be really jarring on counter hits. Oftentimes, if you land like a counter hit in the corner, I believe it's off like a dust or something, I can't quite remember. The rest of the combo has this weird camera going on. The lobby system is absolutely awful, not reminiscent of Guilty Gear. Looks like this Club Penguin 8-bit, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's a mess. It's cluttered. You don't know who you're fighting. You're just running around trying to randomly connect. I'm not sure what they were thinking with that. It's really laggy. The Gatling system is honestly more complicated than it was before. I don't see how this new Gatling system benefits newer players at all. It's actually harder than the previous Gatling system. The previous Gatling system, you just Gatling everything in order. And in this new system, it's very, very specific what normals Gatling into other normals. And no new player is going to pick up the game and just immediately know, like, oh yeah, you know, my punches, they clearly only Gatling into command normals. And my kick, I'm pretty sure I could only go into dust off of this. Like, no one's going to know that. Like, the only reason I knew was because I had to, like, look it up and like ask people in chat, like, how does this Gatling system work? And we kind of theory crafted together until we figured it out. And I'm someone who's been playing fighting games for over a decade and has been playing Guilty Gear since, XX. And so and, what is a new player gonna do that has no prior experience whatsoever? It just doesn't make sense. I had one of my friends who's very new to Guilty Gear pick up the game, and he had to ask me how it works, and there's no hint of it in the game itself, at least in the beta, to explain it, as well as the roaming cancel system. So it's really strange to me that they didn't really want to explain the game. So what are my overall thoughts on Guilty Gear Strive? Obviously, it's a beta. The game is really new, but to be honest with you, I don't think the game is going to change that much from where it is currently. It usually never works that way, guys. So in my opinion, I say that Guilty Gear Strive is a good fighting game, but it's a lacking, I would say even meh, Guilty Gear game. And I think this is an accurate description because this is why you have people that are like, oh, the gameplay is really fun, the game's good, and like you even have Guilty Gear players saying, yeah, I have fun with the game, but at the same time, it's meh. And you also have Guilty Gear veterans, Guilty Gear players that are like, I'm not interested in this game, I don't like this game's trash. And I can understand all the opinions because it depends on the lens in which you look at the game. If Guilty Gear Strive was basically any other fighting game, say it was a new IP, nobody would care because there's no expectations there, right? And I think that's the problem. You don't expect the corner to break in a Guilty Gear game. You don't expect the combos to basically drop after 9 hits. You don't expect people to sink to the ground. You don't expect no air teching. You don't expect your characters to get gutted. When there's a sequel to a game, what you want to see is you want to see the new stuff your character can do because it's exciting. It's like, oh, they gave my character this. Oh, this now connects, right? It seems like an extension of the previous game, but it's frustrating when your new character can't do the same stuff they used to do, and they're basically half the character. You're playing your old main, and you're like, well, I guess I can do this basic Gatling into a special move and then RC like I always used to do, but all the 10 million other setups and combos I had, they're not here anymore. And so that can be really frustrating. But that's not its fault as a fighting game on its own. It's just a problem for a sequel, right? And so that's what I think the problem is it's just a bit lacking as a Guilty Gear title. But as a fighting game, it's good. It's fun. It's pretty. I enjoyed playing the beta, and when I wasn't playing, I was excited to play more, and I will be playing this game. And the reason why I will, and the reason why I like the game, is because I'm a fighting game player. I love Guilty Gear, but I love a lot of other fighting games, and I love fighting games in general. I play pretty much all of them. There's very few fighting games that I won't touch. And so, for me, it's another fighting game. It's another fighting game for me to play and enjoy. I love the Guilty Gear brand. I love ArcSys games, and I love fighting games. So, for me, it's not a huge deal. But if Guilty Gear is all you play and this is your game, then that sucks. I'm going to be honest with you. That sucks. Because this game might not give you what you want. If you want that sandbox style, I can theory craft a million different things, I can sit in training mode forever, and there's endless possibilities that Guilty Gear is known for. If you want to flex your high execution, which that could change, execution can get harder over time, right? But as it's going to be hard for a game to come out the gate with difficult execution. But I'm just saying, based on what they want to do with the game and what we've played, if you want to flex your execution, probably not going to happen here, right? And so, if you're a Guilty Gear head, I can understand why this might not be your thing. And that's okay. If you're a fighting game fan in general that also happens to like Guilty Gear, then this probably is your thing, and you'll probably have fun, and you'll probably like it, and that's cool too. So that's the overarching theory I have for the game. But what I want to talk about next, since we've gotten the negatives out of the way and my overarching feelings of the game, I wanted to talk about what I think the direction of the game will be based on my prior experience of what I've seen happen to fighting games, and just what I know of ArcSys. So, if what they've done so far is any indicator, we asked for the UI to be changed, and it was barely tweaked. Barely. We asked for the character select to be changed. They changed it from red to black or red to white, and I was like, okay, like that's kind of better, but like you didn't fix the overarching problem, right? Like you didn't exactly fix the issue. Like you basically just put a band-aid over a crack, and it's like the crack is still there, man. Like you're not really like fixing anything. You're just like trying to cover it up, And it's the same thing with the HUD. It's like, okay, you kind of made it more Guilty Gear-esque, but it still has that Nintendo feel to it. The lobbies being all these 8-bit pixel-created characters, the Sonic and Mario at the Olympic Games / Mario Tennis stats and character select screen, and the stuff at the end where it tells you how you play, which is kind of cool, but those things are mostly useless in a fighting game. No one looks at those things and no one cares. Now, it's different when it's a game like Granblue where they give you stats like this is the percentage of times you landed a throw. This is the percentage of times you did this. I'm pretty sure no one really looks at that either, but it's still a whole lot cooler than an arbitrary defense meter. Like, this is how good your defense was, and it's like, what? Like, how are you gonna tell me how good my defense was? Like, how is this program gonna know that I blocked a 50-50 versus I just blocked a move, right? So who cares about that? And so that's why the game, just as a Guilty Gear fan, it's kind of a disservice. I gotta be honest. Like, I gotta keep it real. The game is a disservice to a hardcore Guilty Gear fan in many ways. In the way that it limits you, in the menu systems, in some of the soundtrack. Like I said, the actual main themes that play in-game, amazing, great. The visuals, amazing, beautiful, great. And the spirits of all the characters are intact. When you're playing Soul, it feels like Soul. When you're playing Kai, it feels like Kai. When you're playing Pot, it feels like Pot. Like, that's all intact, right? This game has the bones of Guilty Gear, right? But it feels like they stripped a lot of the meat off of it and just made some tweaks that no one wanted them to make. And so that's why it's not all bad, but there are some things that are lacking. Now with that said, what I think they're going to do going forward is I don't think that they're going to make drastic changes. They didn't make drastic changes to the UI, like I was saying. They barely tweaked it. And so if we keep telling them the UI is trash, they should know by now what we want. We're very clear. Everything that everyone is putting on the survey is beyond clear. And so in my opinion, if ArcSys doesn't listen to the fans, then they messed up. Like, there's no other way to put it. Like, you can't mess this up at this point. If you have to delay the game, we'll be okay with you delaying the game if it means that the game is going to be good. I don't work in the gaming industry, so I'm not going to sit there and tweet at them like, delay the game or you're trash, right? Because I don't know how that works, and I'm not going to pretend to know how that works, right? I don't. I know that, sometimes they have deadlines and funding and stuff like that, so I don't know. But if that is a solution, I would prefer they do that if they need to. The game looks great, it feels great to play, but there's no way that they're going to make the game play like XX or Xrd out of nowhere. Pretty much the way the game plays is set in stone at this point. The way that it's a little bit more limited, the higher gravity, all of that. I mean, maybe they might be able to make some minor tweaks to make it a little bit better. Most games do tend to get better over years of their lifespan. Like Dragon Ball FighterZ has gotten better. Street Fighter V has gotten way better than it was initially at launch. Street Fighter 4 wasn't, the best when it launched. It launched pretty broken, and it got better with time as well. So, I'm sure that would probably happen with this game, but despite that, I don't think better means it's going to turn into Xrd, or it's going to turn into XX. Like, that's not going to happen. But what they will do is they'll definitely nerf the damage. There's no way that they're not going to nerf the damage. It's very, very obvious that the damage needs to be changed. You can literally kill Chip in 2 Potemkin busters. If you crank the risk gauge is so easy to crank. Like, you just do like 1 Gatling that's like ends in something that's safe or positive, or you could just RC and make yourself positive. And if they get opened up after that and they don't have burst, they literally just die. Like, they just explode. You can do like 70% to someone. Soul can command grab, most of the cast 3 times and they die, or 4 times maybe. It's absurd. And so it's very clear that they will change the damage. The UI, that's a coin toss. That should be pretty easy. I don't think they're gonna. I don't know, because I feel like they have a direction they want the game to take, and as the community is telling them, hey, don't do that, they're at this crossroad where they're like, we somehow think this is a better idea, and the fans are like, no, it's not. Because I feel like they should have known what we meant the first time when we told them about the UI. We were very clear that the numbers looked dumb, the counter hits was a ridiculous indicator, and that the HUD wasn't reminiscent of Guilty Gear. We made all those comments before they said they would fix it. Then they said they would fix it, but they didn't fix half of those problems. And it was like, those problems weren't obvious to you, like you didn't think those were a priority. And so looking at it that way, it's like, are they really gonna make changes to it to where that HUD begins to look like Xrd? I don't know. I can say for sure that the damage will get toned down. It would be insane of them to not change the damage. It just doesn't make sense. The UI we'll see, because like I said, they've already shown that, a potential to not really change that. Maybe they might change the burst risk gauge portrait not moving, but I think overall the style, it seems like that's what they want to do. As far as the lobbies, will they change the lobbies? It seems like the lobbies are a bit too far gone for them to adjust them, to be honest with you. It seems like they put too much into it. The way that you have all these different stages of it, like it's too far gone. It's like you have all these created characters. Like, I couldn't imagine them just scrapping that whole lobby and then making something new. To be honest with you, I don't think the lobby is that big of a priority. Don't shoot me. And the reason why I say that is because the way I see it is this lobby is essentially just a replacement of the modes on Grand Blue where you're walking around the ship, or in Dragon Ball FighterZ where you have that HUD, or in Guilty Gear, which is the lobby system no one even uses. That lobby system is a barren wasteland, at least in US servers. Nobody uses that shit at all. Most people just create private lobbies anyway. Private lobbies weren't in the beta, but I can guarantee you private lobbies are going to be in the game. We don't even use that shit anyway, so it doesn't even really matter to me. Obviously it should be better and we deserve better, but I'm just saying from my perspective, like, as long as they can get it to function, it's not as important to me as the actual game itself, as the damage being too high, as the UI being horrible looking, as the game feeling a bit more limited. I think those are things that are of higher importance. But like I said, the game is fun. I'm looking forward to it coming out. What I do like about the game is, like I said, I like that all the characters' playstyles are intact. Doing combos in this game feels really fun. Doing mix-ups in this game feels really fun. There is some creativity while it is stunted. I feel like there's more creativity in this game than there are in a lot of other fighting games. And also, I feel like this game still plays more like Guilty Gear than any other fighting games. I had people come into my stream chat when I was live on Twitch, and they would ask me, what do you think this game plays like? Do you think it plays more like Street Fighter? Do you think it plays more like Eunice? And I was like, this game plays like Guilty Gear. Like, it does. Like, when I'm moving around in this game and I'm playing a soul and I get a knockdown and I gunflame on them and then I Fafnir and I keep pressuring and I get a hit and I RC, I feel like I'm playing Guilty Gear. I don't feel like I'm playing Street Fighter at all. I don't feel like I'm sitting around walking back and forth waiting for someone to whiff a button and then I whiff punish it, right? Like, I don't see how anyone gets that it plays like Street Fighter. I don't. I could see how it resembles it visually, right, with it lowering how much there are with like air combos and how it's a little bit more of a 3D look than a 2D look. I'm aware that Xrd is 3D, but Xrd is designed to look 2D, whereas this game doesn't really look 2D. It looks 3D, right? So I can understand how aesthetically it might appear more like Street Fighter V-esque, but when you're actually playing the game, it does feel like Guilty Gear, which I do like. So at its core, I like the fact that all the characters are fun to play, combos are fun to perform, mix-ups are fun to perform, and the roaming cancels are super fun. So if you don't know, the roaming cancels in this game actually have more options. So normally, you have the normal roaming cancel, where when you press it, just a blue burst comes out of you. And if you're too far from the opponent for the blue burst to hit, it doesn't really do anything. It just kind of pauses time for both of you. Now, if you're close enough for the blue burst to hit, it'll actually slow down the opponent. And what's cool about it is this slows your opponent down, which means that your button will more than likely hit because they'll be slowed. Also, it allows for combos that wouldn't normally work because when you hit them, they're in hit stun for longer because they're in slow-mo. So during that short period, you can use it to create combos that you normally wouldn't be able to do. And then you have red roaming cancel, just like you do in Xrd, where when you're actually like hitting somebody, or they're blocking you, you can roam and cancel. The cool thing about this is the red roam and cancel will actually like pop them up into the air for a combo, which is really good for beginners and easy to use. It does change things a bit since in Xrd there is no actual hit and pop up. So in Xrd you can red roam and cancel from a distance and you'll get the slowdown. But in this game, when you do the red roam and cancel from a distance, you get the slowdown, but you don't get the pop up. And since gravity is way harsher in Strive, they end up sinking to the ground. So when you're far from them and you red roam and cancel in this game, you typically don't get as easy of a pickup as you would in Xrd due to the gravity changes there. You have purple roam and cancel, which is kind of like a mix of purple roam and cancel in Xrd, but also yellow roam and cancel. So basically you'll get the purple roam and cancel typically when you whiff. So you can still do Gunflame YRC and Stun Edge YRC, but when you do it in this game, it appears purple. But you can still do it, and it costs 50% meter instead of YRC costs 25% meter. So you still have access to that. But what you also have access to as well is two other types of roam and cancel on top of those ones. And all those other ones I explained are pretty much what Xrd has to offer with its roam and cancels. But there's two other versions. So one other version of the roam and cancel is the drift roam and cancel. And this one's actually really, really fun to use. It can be kind of niche, but we'll see how that changes. So if you hit down, down and roam and cancel, back, back and roam and cancel, or up, up, or forward, forward, one of those four directions and roam and cancel, you'll actually drift in that direction. So you could drift down, left, up, and right. And so this can actually make for some tricky left-right mix-ups, some changes in positioning. So instead of doing Gunflame YRC and standing in place, you can Gunflame YRC and actually drift forward, so that way you can already start running behind it and get there a bit faster. You can maybe do a move that puts you, say you do like a Gatling to the opponent, right? And then you drift RC a bit closer and then command grab them, right? Or you could, approach the opponent and then with a jump, right, or an air dash, and then they go to anti-air you, and then you drift RC backwards to dodge it, and then you still carry that same momentum, so then you would come back in with that air dash and then hit them with a jump in attack. So the drift RCs, combined with all the previous RCs, you can drift any version of those RCs. You can drift the regular RC, you can drift the red RC, the purple roam, all of them. You can drift all of them. And so that makes the game pretty interesting and pretty fun. And then the third type of roam and cancel is the instant roam and cancel. So the instant roam and cancel is very reminiscent of plus R. So in plus R, when you roam and cancel, the the recovery of the move is basically just cut. There's no slowdown, there's no pop-up, it just instantly stops. And so it's very similar to that. And so essentially whenever you hit an opponent, whether it's hit or block, you can input roaming cancel, and then it's almost like you're canceling that move's hit stun into another move. And so it's super fast. And so it can allow for some interesting mix-ups. So you can hit maybe hit someone with a move, they block it, and they instantly cancel it and then go into a command grab, granted as long as they're not still in block stun. But that is something that you could do. And it also helps allow for combos as well. One of the ways I found to use it with Soul is that you can't cancel Soul's normal attacks into Fafnir. But what you could do is you could do like close slash into heavy slash, and then you instant roaming cancel and then Fafnir. And so it's almost like you're canceling your medium and heavy into Fafnir, which is something you normally can't do. If you did the slowdown, it'd be really slow, and so they would kind of like see it coming, right? Whereas if you do it with the instant roaming cancel, they don't expect it. They see you do slash heavy slash, and they're like, oh, it's my turn, and then they get hit with a Fafnir, like quickly, like super quick. And so I think with those 3 different types of roaming cancels, like that's what allows for some creativity. It might not be, you know, the Exert or plus R level of creativity that we're accustomed to if you're a Guilty Gear player, but it is still creativity in its own right as a fighting game. And that's why, you know, as a fighting game fan, I am excited for the game. So those are the things that I do like about the game. The direction that I think the game is going to be headed based on the feedback that we're giving and the way that Arxis has been handling the game so far, and also the things that I don't like about the game as well. So those are my thoughts after playing, and let me know what you guys think down below. A lot of you guys had told me that you wanted to wait until you had the game in your hands. Did the game meet your expectations? Did it not meet your expectations? Are you completely done with Strive after this? Are you excited for Strive? So let me know. Let's have a conversation down below. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts, and we can talk about it from there. But thank you guys for watching this video. I really appreciate all the support, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.